The fictional Sarlacc resided in the desert waste of the twin sun planet of Tatooine. Actually, it was part of an extraordinary outdoor set built in the Buttercup Valley near Yuma, Arizona.
Hey, let me ask you a question. Where are you guys from?
San Diego.
And what'd you do? You drove here? Why'd you drive here?
We wanted to see this.
Seeing this part of it filmed, and there's all of the props around, and there's people lying on the ground, and it's all cruddy. But you know that they're going to take it back and put in the opticals, and it's going to be totally different.
I mean,
so
we're all in Tatooine right now.
Yeah.
So that's terrific, you know.
Jabba's 60-foot-high, fully rigged anti-gravity sail barge would loom over the execution of Luke Skywalker's crew.
And there are numerous pieces of greebly, which is an English term for dressing on the barge, aircraft pieces that are made to look into a kind of a space configuration.
It was a slave costume. It was supposed to be skimpy. The reason it was a costume like that is George said, we want to show that Princess Leia is growing up. So those 3 episodes spanned a certain amount of time. So she got more mature, and that's why the slave costume was introduced. And the fans also were getting more mature, supposedly, and 15 or 20 years later, a lot of people would come up to me and say, you made the Princess Leia costume. Well, that was the best thing I ever saw when I was a kid. I had a sculpture of my own style that I had developed. I took one of these to show to the art director, Nilo Rodas, and immediately he felt like I had a handle on something. When I did show George the finished costume, he's looking at it and looking at it and looking at it, and he turns around and walks away, and the art director goes with him. And I thought, well, that's the end of that one, you know. I guess he really hated it. But in about 5 minutes, the art director came back and he said, he loves it, he loves it. And I said, but he didn't say anything. He said, well, that's why we know he loves it. Eventually, we cast it in the flimsy or soft material so that when she wore it, it would flex. However, she still didn't like it. I don't blame her, because wearing something like this, I did put leather on the back of it to help it feel better. The problem was I made the costume according to her proportions before the movie. Then they went off to shoot the film in England. A month or 2 later, they came back, and then they were going to put the costume on her. And when that happened, she must have lost 10 pounds, if not more. So the costume really hung on her. Most people probably didn't notice it, but I noticed it, and that's what happens when you have things that stay around for a very long time.
Come on, we got to get out of here quick.
There was a matte painting of the Death Star, and they could kind of move in and move out, but you can't really move much on a matte painting because it's flat artwork. And George Lucas asks, he says, hey, what do you think we build the incomplete Death Star as a model? We can really move on it that way. Production would talk to me and go like, you know, well, we could do it. Don't emphasize the model. You know, we could do it with a painting because we don't want another big budget, model made. So George says to me specifically, says, Lauren, what do you think it's going to cost for that if we did it as a full-size model? And I had known that he had bought a Dino Ferrari, a used one. I knew exactly how much he had paid for it. And I said, it'll cost about as much, a little bit more than the Dino Ferrari that you bought. And he said, is that all? Let's do it. I knew that George had already made the decision. They weren't going to be able to change his mind now. And we went ahead and built it. We knew from the drawings that it had to look like miniature iron girders and all kinds of wire structure and everything was used to put it together so that the inside had a structure. You couldn't just cut it away and say it was just a shell. That wouldn't be a good payoff.
The pieces that were under construction had been cut out, and what was next was all the little teeny filigree detail that represented the girders and the under construction area. One of the ideas that Lorne had, which we ended up using, was to use acid-etched brass for a lot of that fine filigree detail. We had this piece of artwork that we were using to design it, and then we were told, actually, this is flopped, this is backwards, so we're going to have to flop the model. So if you ever see the model in person, it is exactly the opposite of the way it appeared in the film.
Some creatures inhabit our dreams and nightmares. Some come to us directly from the movies, like this character, Salacious Crumb.
Unlike the movie monsters and creatures of yesterday, today's species can walk, talk, and blink their eyes and even wiggle their noses.
With so many roles in the movies being played by creatures, it was necessary for the creatures to be able to act. Off-camera technicians, viewing the actor's performance on video, help the characterization with an eye blink here, a raised eyebrow there.
Some monsters, sometimes the most ferocious of them, are simply hand puppets, like the Rancor in Return of the Jedi. A metal skeleton was constructed and then covered with the latex skin. Before painting, remote control elements were implanted to make it possible for the creature's fingers to grasp his prey. The hand puppet head completed the creature.
I feel my heart pumping. Ooh, my whole frame.
Lucas instructed that the vocalist have her own number. Composer John Williams wrote the music. His son Joseph wrote the lyrics. Miss Snooty is a complex combination of rod puppet and marionette.
Streaming our favorite shows, keeping in touch with our loved ones, and even our banking is mostly done online these days. We'd like to think our information is safe, but as our online footprint increases, so does our need for proper security. Surfshark adds an extra layer of security when you're online to keep all of your passwords, photos, and videos safe. There's a lot of websites and hackers that take your info without you even knowing it, but you can swim under their radar using Surfshark VPN, a virtual private network. Surfshark is a VPN service that protects your information by encrypting all of the data that you send through the internet. You can stop websites from tracking your info and selling targeted ads to you. With the click of a button, you can forget about data mining and intrusive advertisements. One of my favorite features of Surfshark is that you can see content not available in your area. Disney Plus or Netflix, for example, have different movies for each country. Access should not be tied to a region. In China, YouTube and most social media websites are banned. With Surfshark, you can solve the problem by simply changing your location. Just connect to the service and refresh the page. Surfshark is an app and browser extension that enables you to place your laptop or phone anywhere in the world and allows you to access the internet as if you were in that country. You can watch any content anywhere in the world on any of your devices. Surfshark turns you into an anonymous and hard-to-trace online user and makes the internet a safer and more enjoyable place for you. I use Surfshark every day. It automatically starts up whenever I start my PC, and whenever I need it, I activate it with just one click. Surfshark is the only VPN to offer one account to use on an unlimited number of devices. If you want both protection and freedom online, use my code NMSW, short for Not My Star Wars, to get 83% off plus 3 extra months for free. Surfshark offers a 30-day money-back guarantee, so there's no risk to try it out for yourself. The link is in the description below.
How do you have a meaningful relationship with a 3-ton slug?
That's the thing. He doesn't pretend to be anything else. He doesn't feel the need to be charming or anything. He's just an unpretentious, very straightforward guy. And I love him.
I mean, he's based on all the sort of evil sultan-like characters.
With the final design approved, the task of building Jabba fell to Stuart Freeborn at the London studio. Freeborn, who also built Yoda, considers Jabba his greatest creation. One of the largest problems was baking the clay mold for Jabba's skin. An entire room had to be transformed into a giant Jabba bakery, the mirror to his evil soul, and one of the keys to making his performance come alive. Fully developed, 3-dimensional being, Jabba took his place center stage with the other actors. 6 different people operate Jabba from 6 different vantage points. They must each do different things, yet do them together.
In the Star Wars movies, we actors have had to work alongside the bad, the ugly, the cute, and the cuddly.
favorite part?
You know, the magic of the movies in Star Wars is people. What they do on the screen and what they did to get it there. It's the magic of the designers, creators, and builders of our favorite movie monsters. It's the magic of the operators and the actors, like Toby Philpott, David Barclay, and Mike Edmonds, of Tim Rose, of Little Warwick Davis, of Frank Oz, of Peter Mayhew, of Kenny Baker, and Anthony Daniels.
Star Wars is the land of the Ewok, the Wookiee, Yoda, Jabba, and C-3PO.
I came up with the idea of General Grievous as a leader of the droid armies. He's kind of a little bit of an alien in a droid shell, which is sort of an echo of what Anakin is going to become.
You must realize you are doomed. Back away! I will deal with this Jedi slime myself. I've been trained in your Jedi arts by Count Dooku.
So this is the burnt Anakin stroke Vader makeup on Hayden Christensen, and this is what's going to bridge the transformation between Anakin and Darth Vader.
Oh my God! Look at this. Oh God! What's really freaky is that your eyebrows and your eyes that you're in there. It's
the one.
particularly nice.
That's a scene all the fans are waiting for.
Yeah.
For him to come out of that pit looking like this.
Yeah.
Another prosthetic was my first time, having to, be burned.
Slide down this way. You're coming down, and then you're going to put your feet up here. Yeah, up there on that. Set. And action. We know from Return of the Jedi what he looks like, so we use that as our model, that he's been all burned up in a volcano. And that was in, say, the original backstory. I felt it was important that we actually see that happen so that we could see the consequences of these bad things that he did.
I'm aware that there was a fair amount of hysteria on set when I first emerged as Darth Vader.
He looked just like Darth Vader. On Empire Strikes Back, we had to do little cartoons of the walkers walking and the explosions and stuff. Return of the Jedi, we built little models and we took a video camera and we shot little videos of these little models on sticks going through the frame. And when we finally got to Phantom Menace, we were able to actually use digital animation to do our videomatics in a more sophisticated way.
Please like, subscribe, and comment on the video. May the Force be with you.
Impressive. Most impressive.